fair warning. I'm just letting you know this daylight savings thing works for me.
That's what I said yesterday.
I love it.
It's exactly what I said yesterday, man.
Done my
Feels like the afternoon already.
Done my steam. I made breakfast. I got more time, energy on my hands. I feel great. Life is good. The brain is pumping. And then my schedule, 3 or 3:30 to 3:30. This is ideal for me because at 3:30 it starts getting dark. By 5 o'clock, it's nighttime. It's all you transition. It's crazy.
I had a conversation with somebody yesterday who was like, yeah, I don't like I don't like it being so dark at 6 because then I feel like it's later and I'm not ready to shut it down yet. And I'm like, oh, I'm ready to shut it down at 6. Like 6, 8, like I'm ready. Like, let's go to bed.
And right, exactly. It's no problem. So I'm back from New York. Great stuff. Let's focus on this daylight savings thing for 1 second. They show me Laura Sherwin. So I love this post. I don't let others define when I sleep. People ask me all the time, dude, you get up at 3:30 every day. When do you go to bed? I go to bed when I'm tired.
Yep.
I eat when I'm hungry. So I love that she put this up. Allow the change to be your chance to recommit. This is a beautiful post. This is well done. Kudos.
It was great because she posted it at 3:55 or whatever this morning, and Nick Mao was like, "I'm up." I was like, "I'm up" in the comments. So you had a whole crew of people that were those early morning risers that kind of holding each other accountable. It's cool. It's cool. Cool moment.
So there's
morning,
Laura. In a way, I love that she's here. I love her spunk. Way to go, Laura. It is Tuesday, November 8th. It is election day. Look at Kitty. So we are rooting, praying, hoping, all that kind of stuff.
And voting. We voted.
In the spirit of Huddle headlines, Shay, give me the most recent election headlines.
Okay.
It's unbelievable,
Pollsters
man.
have no effing idea what's going to happen this election.
It's just totally.
Of course, there's no way to know, right?
Just how do you know, man? But we're rooting hard for it. Get out, vote, do your civic duty. Mr. Merkin, I missed you. I was in New York for the last couple of days doing business, having fun.
It was funny. Speaking of voting, Gabby and I were doing our mail-in ballots last night, which we've had for a couple of weeks, of course, and then we don't fill them out till the night before Election Day, and then we have to go drop them off. Can't mail them in. But I was sitting there with her, and she's sitting there filling out hers, and I'm sitting there filling out mine, and we're on our phones, and we're Googling, the amendments, and we're Googling the people, and we're doing all this research. And I looked at her, and I was like, it's like we're in college again. I was like, this is how we used to take tests together, or strange.
Maybe a class load. Oh, that's gone. Okay.
Yeah, right.
I don't have my time. I'm watching General Hospital. I can't do that.
Right. It was good stuff last night.
Anyway, it's great to be back in the seat. If you're looking at my shirt and saying, what is that? My man, David Aarons, he gave out, when I went to speak, he gave out unbelievable Peter Millar clothing. So I am repping the brand, feeling good. It's a little cool here, a little nice. Let's wake up. We're going to talk marathons because it was a cool weekend to be in New York and experience. I want to share all that with you guys. So let's wake this thing up. Wake up, everybody. So it was a really cool time to be in New York. The marathon was back in full swing. 50,000 people from around the world committed to run. Imagine that.
That's incredible.
Streets were shut down. Weather was insanely hot. In the morning, I watched the professionals who led the race. This one dude, Brazilian, is like galloping. He's at mile 20, does a little waddle, steps off the course, done. He's sitting there like full on, like, freaking out, cramping. And nobody comes near the guy. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Boom, the Kenyan guy sails by him and wins. So it was great because they had men's, they had women's, they had wheelchair, man. They had these animals just cranking away 26.2 miles. So the fact that Helen's son did this feat to me is mind-boggling. It is something.
Shout out to Brandon, like 1,000%. Just like I sent him a message on Instagram. I was like, dude, like, just congrats to you for doing something like that. Like, and he had a great post about it yesterday, but just really awesome. Like, what an accomplishment for him.
What an accomplishment. So, Mark, where did this accomplishment come from? Did he just wake up and go, "Oh, I'm going to run the marathon today"?
Or no, but maybe the guy who went into a seizure did.
What did he do?
No, he made the decision that he was gonna run a marathon, and then he started to train for it. He started to prepare himself for it, and he didn't go out and run 26 miles the next day, right? Like, marathon training is about building your endurance and building your tolerance to be able to run the 26 miles when the time comes.
Fascinating. So being in the crowd and experiencing other people supporting their runner, their dad, their mom, their brother, whoever it was, with signs and all kind of stuff, was just fantastic. There were lots of celebrities in the race as well. You had Ashton Kutcher was in the race, and he ran for a charity. He wants to
super skinny.
Yeah, here's another guy that committed to doing this thing.
Right.
He ran to raise money and awareness for trafficking kids. How great is that? The person on the right, tell me who that is.
I don't know who that is. I can't. The face is covered up. I got no idea who that is.
That is Chelsea Clinton.
Oh, wow. How cool is that?
Chelsea Clinton ran the marathon. There were a bunch of people from The Bachelor and people that weren't real, celebrities, but Tiki Barber ran it.
Oh, wow. How about that?
And we know Tiki, so.
Yeah, it was great to hear Tiki speak.
Committed to doing it, just great stuff. So, Brandon ran it in 4 hours and 2 minutes. 4 hours.
Incredible.
The mind game that must have been going through his head, through 4 hours. Crazy. Tiki Barber did it in 5.5 hours. It's a world-class athlete, So yeah. I find the whole marathon thing amazing. When we were flying to New York, I was sitting there. Helen ran into a friend and her boyfriend, and we were talking. And some people say my voice is loud. And this young lady walks up and says to me, "I know you. Do you speak for a living?" I was like, in front of her friends too. It was like, yeah. She showed me Lisa Cardia. Lisa works for Hard Rock. Lisa is part of that group that you and I spoke to the day we did Women's Day.
Yeah, the HR crew.
She said, "You guys were amazing. You made an impact." It was just crazy,
That's awesome.
Like, she's going to do 26 miles and she thinks I'm cool.
Right. How about a fellow huddler, Phil Boatman, 3 hours and 47 minutes, the Long Beach Marathon in 2019. Wow. Round of applause for Phil. That's incredible. What a time.
Yeah, and you know what's great is I met Phil Boatman running. We were in, I don't know, some vacation spot, and he was out like stupid early in the morning, and yours truly was out there. So way to go, Phil. Congratulations. Congratulations to all of the people who ran. But I want to share a Simon Sinek video when he speaks about Phil Knight. Now, Nike is obviously very tied to running, but this is a very interesting takeaway. that I played for Brandon before he did because his brain was really freaking out. Phil, it was the Dominican. He was freaking out. He had anxiety. I don't know, my foot, my leg, my head, boom. Listen to I played him this video, calmed him right down. Show me.
The way that Phil Knight used to talk about Nike, I don't know if you've ever heard the story. He was speaking at a large conference, and he stood up and he said to the audience, if any of you have ever run for exercise, can you please stand up? Most of the room stood up. He said, if you run at least once a week, please keep standing, everybody else sit down. Most of the room sits down. He says, if you run twice a week, please keep standing. He says, if you run 3 times a week, rain or shine, regardless of the weather or the temperature, please keep standing. There's now a smattering of people in the room. And he looks out at them and he says, the next time you're out there before the sun is up, it's dark, it's cold, and it's wet, and you're running by yourself, we're the ones standing under the lamppost cheering you on. That's how he described Nike. And in an instant, you understand what just do it means. It has nothing to do with winning. It has everything to do with trying. It has everything with doing. And his story, his ability, his narrative captured that so exquisitely. And when Nike's at their best, they celebrate the ones who do, not the ones who win.
Phenomenal.
Well, I was listening to him. Hello. Well, how about that?
You were mid-sentence and then you were frozen, and I don't know what happened.
I think the video got stuck. Who knows?
Oh, I was still live the whole time. I thought I was the one who froze, so I was just sitting there quiet the whole time. Like, I don't really know what's happening.
I don't know, man. Just this fucking
man. Yeah, oh, I think I lost you again. There we go. All right. Okay. We're back.
We're back. Who knows? It's when the wind is blowing on the beach. I was sitting with Brandon. The important part of this was, dude, you are doing this thing. Forget about 4-minute mile, 4 hours, 5 hours. I don't care. You're doing it. That night, Sunday night, when we were still coming back from his condo, from his place, there were people finishing the race, man. It took them all day. Every, age group, every size body. So this idea that, and I love that video for all of us, because the reward is in the doing, not in the
winning. It should be in the doing. It should be in the doing. It's that, I think that's the difference, is that people are waking up to do things that are not in alignment with who they are. People are waking up to do things that they don't really want to do. And if you can't find reward in the doing, you got to take responsibility to change. I had a conversation, James is in the process of changing, and he's moving in a different direction. And I said, dude, I'm proud of you, because it takes guts to not allow circumstances and environments and other people to dictate your reality. You're going to make the decision to dictate your own reality. That takes guts. So the reward should be in the doing. You got to find a way to make it in the doing.
So I did a podcast with my friend Lonnie Sweet from Sweet Management. He represents like all the famous chefs, like for people here in Miami, Michelle Bernstein. He represents Michelle, helps her open new restaurants, whatever. In the podcast, he asked me, he goes, what about patience for salespeople? What about new salespeople getting into the game? I go, the patience is for everybody. If you got a boss that's leaning on you and making you do things you don't like, you can change, you know? So this whole idea of marathon, doing it, putting the goal out there, I love. We're going to do motivational music. Then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how running your business aligns with running a marathon. Boom.
Remember, in the end, nobody wins unless everybody wins. Come! One time! In the day we sweat out on the streets of a runaway American dream. At night we ride through mansions of glory, suicide machines. Run from cages on highway lines, your wheel feel rejected, stepping out of line. Whoa! Maybe the sound rips the bones from your back to death trap, to suicide rap. We gotta get out while we're young. 'Cause tramps like us, baby, we were born to run.
So he was recently on Howard Stern, and he was phenomenal. His interview and him talking about the writing process and continuing to make music and who he's a fan of now and how he's evolved through his career. He was awesome to listen to.
Well, you know, having gone to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, they have a whole thing about him and his defiance of the record business and just writing good music. And so he's great.
Right.
So I want to spend the next 5 minutes, if you will, going over how running a business is like running a marathon. So, you know, we could have fun with this. There's some serious ones, but you got to keep moving forward, man.
Yeah.
It's like the number one thing, man. It's like no matter what stops you, you got to keep moving forward. And I waited to say that one. I didn't put it in the list because, you know, there have been so many chances in my career where I could have just said, pack it in, boys. It's over. That's the time you got to climb over and keep moving forward. So, you know, I know that's a rocky thing, but it doesn't matter. You got to keep moving forward. Number one.
And I think that's what marathon runners look at each, you know, part of the race. They set milestones at certain mileage, you know, certain mileage stops where it's, you know, hey, at the first 3 miles, I'm going to assess what my pace is. I'm going to assess how my body feels, and I'm going to adjust based on that. You know, like I would bet the guy who collapsed at the 20th mile didn't really do any assessment of what was happening during that race. He was just like, I'm just going to run, and whatever happens, happens. Where, you know, that to me is, it's looking at it's the way I looked at football as the long game. It's the way I look at business. Is you could say that football is a finite game and that the career is only this long and there's only so many games, but not if it's your career, right? Yeah. If it's your career, it's not just one season. It's not just one game. Those are just mini milestones, and how you number one, set the benchmarks for what your milestones are and how you view them. And then how you really assess your strategy and what you need to do in order to keep moving forward is what marathon runners do so fantastically, that I think is the key point of running a business.
So there's this saying, life is not a marathon. I mean, life is a marathon, not a sprint, you know? And so I think for all of us, there are times and there are phases. This is what the list says, which I like. You got to have a goal. My goal is to run 26 miles. That's a intermediary goal. It's not the last time you run or what you do, number one. Number two is you got to have a plan. We got to have a plan. Number three, they surround themselves with supportive people. It was so fantastic to see everybody supporting their runner with the signs and the yelling, "Whoa, Jeff, oh, John." I don't care who you are. You need people who support you. The people you surround yourself. I posted about this yesterday. When the people you surround yourself in business, maybe the most significant ingredient in success. You got to be around people who want to be in the boat with you.
Well, that to me was like to Laura's post this morning, being able to engage with other people that were up at the same time, that you knew that you were on the same mission with you. That was the community. That's the benefit of social media. That's the benefit of building your audience the right way and building your network the right way. Is when you open your feed, it should be feeding you all of the things that you need to help you on your race, right? If your feed is filled with shit that deters you from your race, you've surrounded yourself with the wrong people.
Amazing. This one I love, and I think it's probably equal to the number one, if you will. They have to deal with climate changes. So running a marathon, it was 70 degrees in New York. It hasn't been 70 degrees in November in New York.
I would bet that most people were not training for a warm race in New York.
Not training for a warm race. The guy that fell was not training for a warm race. The two people that won were Kenyans, no surprise. They even said brutal course because it had hills and bridges and whatever. But the heat really, really took people down, cramping, all of that kind of stuff. So what would you say the climate changes were in business? Mark Nudelberg to March 2020.
Yeah, I mean, it's the economic changes, and it's what people are talking about now, right? Like that we're on the brink of another recession. Like there are going to be times when people are spending tons of money. There's going to be times when people are spending no money. You have to understand how to work with the ebbs and flows. There are times when revenue is through the charts. There are times when revenue is lower. You can't run the same race whether revenue is super high or revenue is low. You got to adjust your strategy. If you were planning to sprint the 26 miles and walked out there and it was 110%, humidity, probably shouldn't sprint the 26 miles.
So it was great to be there. Really enjoyed it. Again, round of applause for everybody who did it. Apparently, the idea that you can't just run the race. You either got to get in a lottery, which Brandon did,
I didn't know that.
or you have to run like 10 local races and raise like $15,000, or you have to qualify at like 3 hours and 30 minutes or something like that. So when we were waiting for him afterwards, we went to a place called Copper Jack's, cool Irish bar. We're waiting there. And as people and their families walked in, everybody was cheering them. And, I love Jim Barrett's comment, man. Awesome. I had a beer in my hand.
Finished the corporate run in Fort Lauderdale. Couldn't imagine 26 miles. That's how I feel. 10 to me, a 5K, like 3.5 miles is like, all right, I had enough.
So in closing, everybody asked him, so Brandon, this is great. You did this. Are you going to do it again? And he goes, fuck no.
Right. But good for him. Good for him. He did it. He trained for it and he knows what it takes to do it, which is there's no substitute for that.
So let's close with my friend Tracy Caracito, who comes to us from Boston, which apparently the Boston Marathon is the most cherished, hardest to get into. Marathon is a metaphor for life. Each stage represents a different phase. Go out, put in the miles, do the work, and the success will be yours. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Get out and vote. Make a difference. Thanks for joining us. Go to YouTube. That way we don't have to deal with all this LinkedIn stuff, but make it a great day, and let's get down to business.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. Friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's Let's get down to business.